On this week's episode of An Echo of Glory, we look back at the international break and hope nobody got injured. And we have a debutant, Jamie Brown, aka Daily Hotspur, joining us in the studio. Welcome to another episode of An Echo of Glory. Joining me, as always, Jake Robson.
Hello.
Hello. And a debut for Jamie Brown from Daily Hotspur on Twitter. Yes. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you very much for having me. I've really enjoyed kind of listening to some of the episodes. I think it's a fantastic little setup here. So, yeah, thank you very much for having me.
I appreciate that. I've got a fan.
You briefed him well.
Gary never says any of that kind of stuff. Initiation song. Obviously, Jamie's got to do his initiation song standing on the desk. So what are you going to sing?
Oh.
If you did have to do an initiation song, what would it be?
Oh, God. I don't know.
Bit of Whitney Houston?
Just probably like Spurs chant. Like,
Glory,
I'm a bit
glory, Tottenham.
Just loving Big Andrew instead.
Yeah.
Nice.
He can come again.
Jake, what would be in your initiation song?
Glory, Tottenham.
How boring.
And the Spurs go marching on.
I thought it would be some sort of Whitney Houston number. Legacy number, Spurs, Echo of Glory legacy number for Jamie, 36.
I was a little bit disappointed because I was thinking 37, actually Harry Kane's first number, so obviously the next guy can have that, whoever the next guest is. 36 though.
Get a tattoo?
Yeah, maybe not. But Valise is 36 currently, and I'm sure he's going to go on to become a superstar for us.
Fine, so you can
one day it'll be a fantastic number, I'm sure.
We've not had you on before, as we say, so it's a debut, and just want to get your thoughts before we go into the other bits and pieces on where we're at. Obviously, a lot's changed in the last 2 weeks at Spurs. The Chelsea game and how we imploded there. But where are you on Spurs generally?
I think the next couple of weeks, unfortunately, are going to be a bit tricky for Spurs. Obviously, we know kind of the injury situation. But look, I think it's just worth, we're going to have to look at the bigger picture. And this is obviously going to be a small blip. We've made a fantastic start otherwise. Obviously, playing really great brand of football. Obviously, our starting 11 was starting to look really strong as well. So I think we're definitely going in the right direction. So although I think I'm expecting a difficult couple of weeks for Spurs, definitely for me, looking at the bigger picture and 100% we got the right manager in. I think, as I said, that 11 was looking really strong. It's about kind of over the next couple of windows, kind of building on that. But look, you have to say, after 11 matches, where we are under Ange is really impressive. So, as I said, difficult couple of weeks I'm expecting, but I think it's going to be so positive for Spurs. So, I'm excited.
Positivity.
He can come again.
And like I said, better than that other bloke. And what about, one thing we've done on this, we've asked guests, is your favourite five-a-side Spurs team. Just want to tap in and sort of find out who the legends are in your eyes. So who would be your goalkeeper?
It's really tricky, actually, this one. I think if you actually look at kind of our five-a-side team compared to the rest of the top six, it's actually really strong. There's some very good players in there. Goalkeeper's a tricky one, though. I would probably say Paul Robinson. That would probably be my pick.
That's who I went. I think I changed and went for Gomez, but
you went for Gomez. I had Robbo in. Definitely.
Yeah, you had Robbo in.
I did. I mean, Hugo Lloris, obviously a legend, great servant, but maybe not. So probably Paul Robinson. But I think you'd have to maybe say Vicario.
Wow.
Even after
Gary changed his mind from Gomez to Vicario very quickly.
Even after a couple of matches, I think that Chelsea game was really where kind of announced himself. I think even my Chelsea mates after the game were saying, "This guy's incredible." My family as well were saying the same, saying this guy is unbelievable. So I'm going to go Vicario. I really like Paul Robinson, and I was actually at the game where he scored against Watford and lobbed Ben Foster. But I'm going to go Vicario. Defenders, again, it's... if you compare it to the rest of the top six, it's a little bit weak, but I still think, Ledley King is the guy for me. Maybe the Belgians would have to have been with a shout.
We always had a problem with Ledley, didn't we? Because we were worried he'd never turn up. Because of his knee. He'd get that text the night before, boys, but I can't do it.
No, it wasn't. He'd turn up, he wouldn't be able to play.
Yeah. So for me, Ledley King, I think the way he kind of was able to play through those knee injuries was unbelievable, and it would, what he could have done in his career. Otherwise, midfield, this is where it gets really strong, I think. So Gareth Bale and Luka Modric, I think for me, two of the best players of the generation. I can't believe we had players like that as good as Spurs. So Bale, probably for me, was probably my number one Spurs player. Always used to watch highlights of him before I used to go and play football. But Gareth Bale and Modric. I'm gonna go for Jermaine Defoe up front.
Wow.
He is my favourite Spurs player.
Great finisher.
Great finisher.
I just thought he was unbelievable. Like his movement, his finishing ability. I think he's right up there as one of the best. I think one of the best Premier League strikers as well. I think he was that good. So for me, Jermaine Defoe. I think it's very harsh not picking Harry Kane, but he's on my bench, of course. And Moussa Dembele.
Yeah.
I've a little bit controversial take on Dembele. I know a lot of people say he was underrated and actually a great
underrated. Yeah,
great. This is a great chance for people to get their comments in. I actually think he's overrated by Spurs fans.
Wow.
I don't doubt his ability whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think actually ability-wise, I would actually put him. This sounds a bit contradictory. I'd put him up there as one of the best ability-wise in the Premier League. Like, he was insane, and like obviously here, it was just his actual impact.
Yeah, but I think he was the sort of the assist before the assist is what he did.
That's true. But true.
Yeah, I think there are people who think he could have done more.
100%, and that's why I said I think ability-wise, amazing. Actual impact-wise, I kind of wish he did a little bit more. That's just also maybe a bit of disappointment as well. I think he could have done quite a bit more, but yeah, still an unbelievable player. But yeah,
manager.
Ange, 100%. I'm not going to go for the guy.
Play some lovely football out there.
Yeah, I think that we might have been that guy who was with us for like 6 years, didn't win anything. But yes, I'm not going to go for a guy who can't get over the line. So Ange for me, 100% the guy. Absolutely love him. Okay. Absolutely love him.
Good. All right, nice. Happy with that team?
Very happy. It was very similar to my team.
Yeah.
Who do you have? You had I had Kyle Walker in defence, but apart from that.
Okay. Yeah. As you said, like, I was watching Croatia last night, watching Modric play, and I took a trip down memory lane, similarly to you, because Wales were on the other screen. I was like, God, Bale, we've had some players.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, you think back through all the years and like kind of the way people talk about us as a club outside. I mean, we've had some unbelievable, like Ginola as well. Obviously, a bit before my time. Gascoigne as well. So always been like some unbelievable Klinsmann. So yeah.
I think Ginola was my social sec.
Oh, well, yeah. Who's running your WhatsApp group?
That was it. WhatsApp group.
So he's not playing. He's organised enough to run it. I had Ben Davies because he'd just be so organised.
Ben Davies, probably Emerson Royale.
For the banter.
Emerson Royale. I think he's like, he's just a fantastic character. He's a bit like, Moussa Sissoko. We kind of see him. He wasn't the best player, but he's just such a likeable guy.
Yeah.
So.
You'd want him around your team.
I would like him just for some vibes. Just some good vibes.
Well, that was what you said. You want to run your team on vibes.
Absolutely.
I think it's very important.
Okay,
so Ginola.
Another nice trip down memory lane, but let's go back to the present day, and we are going to do a little bit of club news. Obviously, the men didn't play, the youth teams didn't play, the women did play, and they drew 1-1 again at Leicester. 3 draws in a row. The manager wasn't best pleased. They battered Leicester second half and didn't score, but 3-1 draws in a row, and they go to Man City next. And as I said, no games for the other parts of the club. International break. How are you on international break? First of all, do you watch a lot of international football? But also, are you sitting there like me behind the sofa hoping no one gets injured?
Unfortunately, I'm not a big fan. It's literally that. I'm kind of hoping that no injuries happen. I'll be honest, even England, it's very difficult to get up forward. Obviously, I love the international tournaments, and I think the Euros next summer is going to be really exciting, especially kind of given the team England have. But not a big fan of watching it.
Do you think the players even like it?
I'm a real believer that they do. I'm a
middle of the season, though.
Yeah, I think they just love playing for their countries.
Just like the break from the Premier League.
They just love playing football. They love representing their country.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing with the South Americans as well. The kind of the passion behind it, and also I was discussing it with a couple of mates actually. So a lot of people kind of berate like Bentancur obviously going away, Romero kind of showing the passion,
not having it.
You look at the difference in qualifiers with the South Americans. Like there's no easy games there.
Correct,
so it's like you're not facing any teams that are like a San Marino or someone you're going to beat. It's all tough games.
It's the toughest qualifying of all.
100%. So I know obviously a lot of people kind of berate Romero and maybe a few of the others, but I just think it's for them it's such a big thing, isn't it? So I can understand it, and as we might come on to Bentancur, got a couple of minutes.
Yeah. We'll start with him with that game last night, or those games last night. Uruguay beat Bolivia 2-0. Bentancur played 87 minutes. There were some good numbers doing the round. I think Bolivia.
Is that why Gary's not here?
Why? Because he didn't want Bentancur to go.
Didn't want him to go.
I'm so pleased that Bentancur got 87 minutes. I know
it's perfect.
if it was up to Gary would have held him at the airport and said, "Sorry, son, you're not going."
He's not. We're not in Europe, so he's not going to have come in and played. Yep. I know he's been injured.
Gary wanted behind closed doors friendlies organised for him.
Look,
love you, Gary.
He could have stayed and trained, but there's nothing better than getting minutes under your belt. And he may be sore, he may be tight. We'll come to Sunday's game, of course, but I think he has to start. Are you in the camp that he had to go? It's great that he went and got 87 minutes yesterday, and however long he got, 20 minutes the week before.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think it's ahead of schedule as well. It was really quite a surprise to me that he's already been able to complete almost the full 90 minutes. So I think that's really big for him. Maybe it's a little bit close to kind of Villa, and as we said, obviously we know Bissouma's not there, so you're kind of hoping that Bentancur does start.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit disappointing in that sense, but I think it's a very positive thing that he got those minutes under his belt.
So he played last night. They won 2-0. He also played the week before. They won 2-0 in. They beat Argentina 2-0 at the Bombonera. A great place to go and win. He nicked the ball off Messi. Heard of him?
Who?
Yeah, plays in America for the second goal, which was great. Romero played in both of Argentina's games. They lost to Uruguay, and last night they beat Brazil 1-0 in a game that never nearly started because there was fan riots, and that was a big win for Argentina. Lo Celso still gets... I'm not a fan. He still somehow gets in that squad. He came off the bench against against Uruguay, didn't do much, but started last night against Brazil, set up the first goal for Otamendi, I think it was. Lo Celso, yes or no?
No, I think it's time for Spurs to move on from him, and obviously that's definitely one where it is a frustrating thing with the qualifier, or like their passion for the national team. He can show that passion for Argentina, but just doesn't do it for Spurs. I mean, I thought he was okay against Wolves in his brief cameo, but it was a difficult game to come into, so maybe give him a bit of leeway. But for me, it's time to move on from Lo Celso.
I mean, if you think about it, we could end up seeing quite a bit of him this weekend because whether Bentancur starts or not, he's not going to play the full game. There's no Bissouma. You've got Sarr, Højbjerg. I mean, where's the creativity coming from? I think if he doesn't start, I think he'll get a good half an hour at the end of the game.
I think he has to start on the weekend, unfortunately, Lo Celso. I mean, if he can do what he does for Argentina, it's a fantastic player, but I just think, it's a bit like Ndombele. We're always like, he comes back, it's another chance. I just don't.
They don't take their chance, do
they? I don't quite think it's going to happen.
I think the main difference with him is I don't think he's, since he came back from his loan, for a start, he's still there. I mean, they wanted to try and move him on, but not as badly as Ndombele, it was like, no, not having it. Well, and Lo Celso's actually he's been on the bench and he's had some minutes this season. I think without Maddison, I think he would be the next. He would be the direct replacement that we have. So maybe if he starts this weekend, we can. This is like his chance. Here you go. And we need him now because Maddison's going to be out until January.
Yeah, he was really good. He was really good in pre-season, and I had a couple of conversations with other Spurs fans as well, and I think a lot of them were very impressed by how he did. So it's just been disappointing to see kind of how he's done so far. Obviously, not really had a chance, but it's disappointing that he's not really kicked on yet. So. Yeah, I think he'll have to start on the weekend. But
Emerson played in both games for Brazil. They lost both games. They've actually lost 3 in a row, so they're not playing very well. Hopefully it's not down to him. You mentioned Sarr scored his first international goal for Senegal against South Sudan. Bissouma, I think he either came off the bench or didn't play in their first game, started their second game. He doesn't play that much for Mali. I don't know who else their midfielders are, but that's a surprising one for me. Kulu, I watched both of Sweden's games. He faffed about. He's doing a lot of faffing about for me at the moment. Kulu, they'd already failed to qualify. Johnson and Davies started last night for Turkey. Johnson played down the middle, makes a lot of good runs. He had a lovely finish at the end, which was offside. I'm still waiting for him to show me it's not down to me, but to show us what he can do. I think we've seen flashes.
I was a little bit concerned when he came in because I think he's a brilliant player, but I felt like we needed a more like direct, kind of pacey winger. Obviously, he's more of a guy who I think technically he's very good. He wasn't maybe not quite what we needed as a left winger, but he's a guy who offers a number of different positions.
I think his best position's on the right, but that would mean
exactly. Well, he can play centre forward as well. I think he even played a bit in midfield as well for Nottingham Forest. So I think you've got a really good player there. I think there's been flashes where he has done well, and actually against Chelsea, he looked really good in that first couple of minutes, or the opening 20 minutes or so, just before the collapse. But he was. I think you've got a really good player there in Johnson. I still would like to see another left winger come in, But yeah, I think he's a good player, and I think he will eventually kick. I think he's had a few injury concerns as well. I think he's got a bit of an issue with his hamstring. I think that's what's happened. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of him though, definitely.
How many games has he started?
Do you have are you quizzing me?
Well, no, I wondered if you knew and I've just looked it up
out.
myself. It's only 3.
3.
I think in the 3
And one of
games-
those he came off very early.
One of those he came off very early. I think it's I mean, he's obviously a good player.
Yeah.
I think across the season, I think especially as more injuries, he's going to get more of an opportunity. I think
as Jamie
it's
says,
a bit harsh to say I haven't seen. What was it?
no, we haven't seen enough. We've seen flashes. I'm just trying to work out what he is because I'm not sure it helps him playing 9 for Wales, playing left for Spurs, maybe playing right for Spurs. Yeah. Do you just feel like we want to know what he is?
He didn't play through the middle for Forest, did he? He came off. I know he came off from the right. For us, he's
mostly off
the
the
left.
right for Forest.
But what he's good at, I think, is he's good at making those when the player's coming from the other side, he gets on the end at the back post.
Are you just saying that because of what he did against Wolves?
Yeah, but he's had a couple of chances.
Against Chelsea, did he not do against Chelsea for the goal that was disallowed?
He had. Did he have a chance against Palace? Maybe.
I think you're making it up.
I'm making it up.
Yeah.
Switch off now.
Look, there's definitely something there.
Yes.
And he'll start, I suspect, on Sunday and hopefully gets a full 90 or 80 plus, which he needs. But he played okay last night. Ben Davies gave away a penalty, which was never. There's some bizarre decisions in Europe this week. Certainly that Ben Davies penalty, even the Rico Lewis penalty, it was similar to the Ben Davies one. But Wales didn't make it. Off they pop into the playoffs. So, there's more. There's more. Vicario ill.
Who wrote this?
Me. Vicario didn't play. He's ill. There was a story last week that he was a doubt for Villa. 10 days. Was he going to be ill for 10 days? I hope not. That would be
No
Spursy.
way. He's playing. He's definitely playing.
Yeah, I mean, he'd have to be really ill not to get him out of bed for that. Udogie, we don't know, but he didn't play for Italy. Højbjerg started one and came on as a sub at Denmark, who qualified, but they lost to Northern Ireland, which is not a great result. And then we come to Mickey van der Ven.
Big Mick.
With your Daily Hotspur hat on. You must have seen this picture.
Yeah.
What do you make of it? Is he trolling us? He's not going to be back for Villa. The interesting thing about this is the club have not really said anything about Van der Ven's injury.
Yeah.
I thought that. I think that's odd, isn't it?
What do you know?
Well, so
Tell us.
I think with Van der Ven, unfortunately, I don't know anything about the actual injury, but I think I do know one of actually. So my physio, he specialises in hamstrings. He's just been telling me it's going to be a while.
Yeah,
right.
I think unfortunately I'm going to have to kind of reduce expectations on when he'll be back a little bit. It's one that I just think with that sort of injury, you've got to be careful. It's just so easily to kind of have a relapse with that. So. Yeah, it was a very weird post, wasn't it? But for me, I'm going to be very cautious on this one.
So I read into the post that he might be back soon. Obviously not Villa and probably not City, but maybe Newcastle.
No way.
No, I don't think so.
No?
I think it'll be the new year. I think they've got to be careful.
That post was weird then.
It could be just that he's saying like I'm working hard to get back, but no, unfortunately I don't think he will be back.
Okay, and I don't think there's anything that he said in the post that isn't true.
Who?
Van der Ven.
Well, he didn't say anything. He just posted a picture.
but there was what wasn't it? Yeah,
it was just kind of hourglass.
Yeah,
and kind of low like. I kind of was suggesting soon, but no,
I think he's flirting with us.
I also think I don't know. I don't follow obviously any other clubs as closely as I follow the Tottenham accounts. I feel like we have a bit of a habit of doing this kind of thing, kind of trying to push out some, sort of making out something is a bit better situation than it actually is. Because as you said, they didn't mention the actual injury. They did say roughly when he'd be out until, which is fine. But why not just tell us what the injury is?
But it kind of got Ange mentioned it.
Why be weird about what the injury is?
It kind of got swept up in the Maddison news. He sort of went, James has got a bad one. And Mickey too, they'll be out till it's January or something. He didn't, and the club has said nothing about Van der Ven.
It's just the whole being back in the gym, the kind of the exercises that he's doing. Yeah, I mean it looks good. I think the main thing is he avoided serious damage. Yeah. So that's obviously a positive thing. But I don't want to keep saying it, but I'm not.
It actually, when I saw the picture, I suddenly had to go back and read. Hold on, have they actually said how long is he going to be out until? Because no, but they said the new year, I think, didn't they? But then when I saw the picture, I suddenly forgot that for a second. I was like, oh my God, is he going to be back next week? I just can't
He ain't coming back next week. So it's been over a week since the week that was, the Chelsea defeat. the Wolves defeat. How are we feeling? You said at the top positive.
Well, yeah, I think positive about the overall picture, but yeah, I'm not looking forward to the weekend, unfortunately, which is a shame because it's been a really nice change this season where every game I'm really excited for. It's been really difficult, only having one game a week, obviously, to watch. But yeah, this game's going to be really tricky. I think Villa, look, they're kind of flying at the moment, and regardless of their away form, I still think that it's going to be a really dangerous one. And then I kind of, it's looking back at the defence. It's Ben Davies and Eric Dyer. I think it's going to be the pairing. I just think it's going to, against Watkins and Moussa Diaby, I think it's going to be a tough game. So yeah.
What we saw last week against the Wolves was a 4-3-3. As you said it, I think, Jake, we had 3 6s in midfield, but it just didn't work. And we've sort of asked or wondered if Ange had a plan B, and that was his plan B, a complete move away from the way we'd been playing. And he kind of had to. It was 5 days on the back of a traumatic game against Chelsea where everything just fell apart, and maybe sort of rushed into it, and that was how we set the team up. Do you think he will stick with a 4-3-3 or we go back to a 4-2-3-1? Pick Lo Celso, like we said, who is the only, for me, direct replacement for Maddison, although he's not a patch on Maddison.
Obviously not. I would be. I'd be pretty disappointed if he didn't with Lo Celso there because he can play as the 10, and then you've got Sarr, Højbjerg, basically as your 2.
Yeah.
And also, you said Dyer and Davies to play at centre-back. Do you think maybe if Udogi's back, then he could end up playing Royale alongside, like he did against Chelsea? He stuck Royale there because he's quick.
He's looked like, he's had a couple of games. I think even under Conte at times he had some games where it's centre-back, but again...
Because of his pace, that's the thing. And so at least...
We're going to need that.
Because if you stick Dyer and... Davies there, it's not their fault. Their strength. You may well say, or you may well not say, they have other strengths. But one thing they don't do is they're not very quick. And if you're sticking Romero in with there, at least, Royale. I keep calling him Romero. I wish it was Romero.
I do that as well.
It's because you just wish it was Cootie. So I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. I'd be almost a bit happier if Royale was in there because obviously he's not as good. He's probably not as good defensively, but at least he's got a bit of pace.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big thing. And we know the 2 guys, Watkins. He's definitely got pace. Diaby as well. He scares the life out of me.
They're very, very quick.
So yeah, I think maybe that's a good shout having Royale in there for a bit of pace because Ben Davies and Eric Dyer.
So what would be your back 4?
Doji and Porro, obviously. So looking a bit stronger there, but yeah, I think I probably would go with that Royale and Dyer.
Probably.
See, I think I agree, but I think he'll play Davies.
Do you?
Yeah.
I also thought I saw enough in that bit against Chelsea that I've done it again. Royale actually look. I think if you want him to do a job and you kind of drill him in the right way, he'll do it. And for that bit against Chelsea, I really thought, my God, we're actually going to hold on here. And he was part of that.
Is there any way we can go back to a wing-back formation?
I can't see
where you exploit. I still think a formation like that can be quite attacking because you can get, you've obviously got 2 fantastic players there where...
What, so you're then playing, you're playing Dyer, Emerson and
get them all in.
Davies.
I'd have Royale right centre-back. I'd have Davies left centre-back, Dyer in the middle, bit of more cover, the centre-mids, Bentancur and Sarr. So you've still got a little bit of creativity in there. But then you've got, 2 fantastic wing backs getting forward as well. So
yeah, I left out.
I think you can still definitely be attacking in that formation, but he's not going to do it.
I think if it was, for example, if Poch was the manager and he had a history of playing that, then yeah, you'd look at it and go, maybe he's going to do it. But I don't think Ange in his whole time at Celtic, I think he was always back for. Yeah, I forgot. I left out Bentancur. So you got Bentancur and Sarr, and then you could stick Lo Celso at the tip of that. It looks a lot better than that Wolves lineup. Even just having a Dogi back, it just makes a massive difference.
And there's obviously the question mark about will Bentancur be able to play, but I think he's going to have to.
Yeah, I think so. I think he can do that the number 6 role. I think he could do it quite well because he at times he go and pick the ball up from the centre backs and carries the ball so well. So I think he could be a good replacement there. So.
I want to take you back to a dark place.
Uh-oh.
The 1st of January 2023. Spurs nil Aston Villa 2. I wanted to find a word to describe this game, and I looked it up earlier. It was a kind of an nadir for Spurs fans.
What does nadir mean,
A
Johnny?
nadir means the lowest or most unsuccessful point in a situation, and I think it was that under context. Let me ask you, what was the worst Spurs performance last season?
Potentially when we drew 3. Was it 3 or was Southampton?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Jake.
The worst of the whole season. Whoa. It could be this one, couldn't it?
I thought you might say Newcastle away, 5-1.
Oh yeah.
But that was kind of, it'd been such a disaster.
Second half we won 1-0.
And Kane scored a very good goal.
Yeah, but for me, you mentioned this Villa game, and it was so awful. I'm going to read you the team. Lloris in goal, Romero, Longley, Davies, Doherty, Bissouma, Højbjerg, Perisic, Gil, Kane, Son. So it's a few players from that day will probably play at the weekend. The performance was so bad. I remember actually my son had been to 10 games in a row. His first 10 games, we'd won them all. Yeah. We rocked up like, it's going to be 11 out of 11. And we lost, and we just didn't do anything. We were so bad. And for me, that was the moment where there was only 2 games after the World Cup. We'd drawn at Brentford where we'd been 2-0 down. We'd been terrible.
Yeah.
And that was the moment for me where I just was like, I'm done with Conte.
Yeah, I think we'd obviously kind of stuttered over the line, hadn't we, towards the World Cup. And I was so on board with Conte. I was so wanting it to kind of work, just because I thought he was gonna, taking us in the right direction. But after the Christmas break, or the World Cup break, it just imploded, didn't it? And that Villa game, I think you're right. It was kind of the moment it really started to go downhill. So yeah, that was awful.
Do you know what was crushing about that game, I think, is that actually going into it, I was so full of optimism.
Yeah, well, that's...
Yeah.
Let me. I've just found some notes I made before, because I actually worked at that game. We'd won 6 out of 8 at home. We'd scored 11 in 5 going into the game. We trailed in each of the last 6, coming from behind to win.
Right. Yeah.
Best comeback record in the Premier League. Scored 33 goals, best tally at that stage of the season since 11-12.
Yeah.
I remember going into this game thinking, well, yeah, of course we're going to beat Villa. I think I'm putting bets on, like the whole lot. I'm like, yeah. And I think after when they scored their first goal, I was just thinking, oh no.
I think that was why it was
going on.
Yeah, I think that was why it was so crushing, because we were just going in such a positive direction, and you had so many areas to be positive about. I remember Bentancur was playing unbelievable at the time. Yeah. Højbjerg as well. They'd formed a really great partnership there. Obviously, attacking wise, we were brilliant as well. So, yeah, I think that's why it was so disheartening, because we looked like we were going in such a good direction, and then just completely imploded.
The wheels came right off. We've never beaten Emery in the Premier League. We beat Arsenal in the League Cup. I'm fairly sure he was in charge when Dele Alli scored that lovely goal. We've never beaten him in the Premier League. He's done a good job.
He's done a very good job. So are you saying he's got our number?
Or it's about time we beat him.
I see what you did there. Well, why not? Well, I was going to say we're not unbeaten at home because we lost, but before Chelsea we were.
We'd won every game.
And
we would have beaten Chelsea, I'm sure of it, with 11 men
even
on the pitch.
10 men we may have beaten Chelsea. Let's be honest. The one thing, the thing that gives me a bit of confidence, and you have to then come back to the injuries, because that's obviously a massive problem. I know you've had an international break, but Ange will have had some time with the players at least that didn't go, and for himself to formulate, because as we said, that Wolves game was very soon after the back of Chelsea, and now he probably have a clearer idea in his mind of what he wants to do and how he wants the team to play. There's a bit more time.
Do you think this is a test? It is a test for Ange, but do you look at Ange and go, right, what have you got? Or do you have sympathy for him? I think we do all have sympathy for him with the collateral from Chelsea. But are you looking at him going, okay, well, these are all internationals, do something about it?
Well, I think firstly on the way he's dealt with this injury crisis, I've been really pleased, and it's just so refreshing the way he's dealt with it. I think with Conte and Mourinho, that was all you would have heard about, being all these excuses, but Ange is kind of almost rolled his sleeves up, kind of welcomed on the challenge, and so I think his approach to it's been really good. But yeah, I definitely have sympathy for him, because as I said, I probably am expecting a defeat on the weekend. I just think we're missing that creativity. I think missing your 2 central defenders is so big as well. So yeah, I definitely have sympathy for him, but no, I'm really happy the way he's said he's kind of handled the situation, especially publicly. So, yeah.
But if we do lose 3 in a row, I'm not saying he'll be under pressure, But is it for you? Is it just a case of you just got to get through these games and get players back?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. I think we all know we're on the right track, and it's so early on, and that's why it's incredible how quickly the progress that we had made. I think that Chelsea first 20 minutes was just. I couldn't believe the football we were playing, and that second goal as well. And then so I think, look, we've just got to accept that this is going to be a difficult period. And then looking at other, the way that Man City started under Guardiola, Mikel Arteta at Arsenal as well, Jurgen Klopp, all had difficult first seasons. So, yeah, I think we're going to have difficult moments, and we know the squad's was not going to be strong enough to kind of handle this injury crisis. So, we knew that this was going to hit at some point, and I think bigger picture is what we've got to look at.
Well, also, it's pretty obvious as to why, if we do lose on Saturday, it's pretty obvious.
Sunday. Don't go Saturday.
Have
you ever gone to a game on the wrong day? I've got a mate, Lee Bibbering, who once went to a Blackburn game, home to Blackburn on the wrong day.
Well, there was no one there.
Yeah.
Apart from Gary Mabbott. And
why was Gary Mabbott there?
He's always there, isn't he? No, I think if we do lose on Sunday, or even if we draw or whatever, you still look back on the last 2 games, and it's very obvious as to why there's been a drop off in performance and a drop off in form. I think the time to start getting worried is if it's when all players come back, and then then we start playing badly. And the other thing about Ange, and the reason why I'll never be worried about Ange in terms of himself in a sort of mini crisis, is that he's had way worse times than this. When he was in Australia, I think there was a couple of jobs when they were very unhappy with him. And I think he might have made a reference to this at some point in the last couple of weeks, that he's now at Tottenham. It's like, why? How does it get? It's never going to be that bad. Like he's fought all his life to be the Tottenham manager. He's got those bad, harder times behind him. He can face anything.
Well, he had a bit of a crisis at the start of his time at Celtic.
Right, that was it.
They got the Champions League quite early on, I think, in his tenure there. So, yeah, I think he's had difficult first.
But now they love him.
He has, and I'm glad you brought that up. He has had tough times, but he's never had it in such a big league. And I'm really interested. Every team gets injuries. We definitely having more than anyone should get in a short period of time. I'm just intrigued. We all know that these players are relics from days gone by. Don't need to name them, Højbjerg, Davies. But what I saw against Wolves was not good. And for me, I know we nearly got away with what would have been one of our best ever wins probably, because from what had happened 4 days earlier, 5 days earlier, I know we're at home, just a bit worried we're going to see New Year's Day Aston Villa, and I don't want to see that again.
Yeah, I mean, just on that though, I think, going forward, we're going to see, you hope, if you give him a couple of transfer windows, you're going to see the likes of Højbjerg phased out and maybe someone new brought in, because Højbjerg, I actually think he's almost the polar opposite of what an Ange player is. He's a very safe player, obviously passes are usually sideways, backwards, so yeah, I think that's definitely a thing to think about. We're going to see over the next couple of windows, hopefully, more Ange players brought in, and when we do lose players, hopefully some better suited players will come in.
End of that Villa game last year was when Conte went on that rant. It was Conte, it wasn't Stellini, as I was telling you before. He went on that massive rant about how much more money he needed and how he can't compete against. That one.
Diddums. Yeah. Should we talk to a Villa fan?
Let's do it.
Let's do that right now. Delighted to be joined by Luke Robinson from Up the Villa podcast. Luke, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So we'll come to the season and Sunday's game shortly, but I wanted to start by asking you about Unai Emery. It's been just over a year since he took charge, and I'm sure no Villa fan thought the change would be this good in such a short space of time. But what's he done? But also, is there now an expectation that Villa are here to stay and the fight for the Champions League is really on?
Yeah, I think that's how Villa fans are looking at it, to be fair. I mean, when you hear people talk about Villa, they always talk about how it's a massive club with a great history, and we've been somewhat in the doldrums of football, really. We got relegated from the Premier League, and we found it really difficult to sort of get back to that sort of status of being a big club, really. And up stepped Unai Emery, and what he's done, for fans that obviously don't support Villa, they see the table, they see us playing decent football, but it's off-field stuff as well that's massively improved. We've brought in Monchi, the sporting director, transfer guru of Seville. And there's a real sense of not only are we trying to be the real deal on the pitch, we're trying to be that off the pitch as well. And the club's just going in a real great direction. And it's fully led by Unai Emery. NSWE, our owners, have really gave him the keys to Aston Villa. They've allowed him to bring in all of the people that he wants to bring in, like Monchi. He's brought in Vidagani, who's sort of in between Monchi and Emery. And they've just really backed him, and there's a real big vision now for Aston Villa to get back to sort of where they belong, really.
Well, go on then. Where do you think they belong? Where is this season, having been playing in Europe and obviously playing really well in the Premier League? What will the fans be happy with?
For me, last season we qualified for Europa Conference League. It's not the Europe that most football fans would want to say that's what we want to achieve, but it was a starting block for Villa, and I think it's going to give us experience of playing in Europe like West Ham did. But for me, I said at the start of the season I wanted us to finish sixth. I want to finish and qualify for Europe again through the league. I think that would be sort of success and building towards the end goal of getting to the Champions League. We're in that position, sort of fifth at the minute. Hopefully that can qualify for Champions League this season. And I think since our owners came in, they had a 5-year plan of wanting us to get into the Champions League, and this is the 5th year. So their aspirations when they took the club on in the Championship, they were quite bullish with that statement. And, we have been on that upward trajectory. And I think that is the aim, to get into the top 4, to keep challenging the likes of, I don't know, City, Liverpool, Spurs if you're back in it, or, Arsenal. So I think that's the aim. We want to be back in and amongst the conversation all the time of top 6, Champions League, winning trophies, and that's what I think most Villa fans want.
And just on this season, Luke, 13 straight home wins in the league across the last 2 seasons, but away form a little bit patchy. Yeah, you've won at Chelsea and at Burnley, but you've had some tough away games, Newcastle, Liverpool, but you did lose at Forest, drew at Wolves, which is better than we did. What have you seen a change in the way they're playing at home compared to the way they're playing away?
I think the change is the way we played last season to the way we've played this season, which has been the big difference. Last season, we were sort of inverting a fullback, which is the trend at the minute. And one fullback would be the attacker, would be Luca Dean down the left-hand side. We were playing on the counter-attack last season. We were nicking games 1-0. The away form was very, very good. So we were quite we were in the mindset of just win at all costs, and we'll win however we have to win. We'll play with 6-7 defenders and etc. But this season, he's really wanted to take that style to another level and be quite attacking. We've got both fullbacks that go forward now. We've got Kamara that drops in at sort of right back to screen. Cashew goes forward. And we just want to be this possession-based football team that control games. And we're controlling every single game at home, which is really good, and that's why we're winning most our games. And we're able to sort of mix it up as well at home, whereas if teams nick a goal, then we go a little bit more direct, and we're finishing teams off in that sense. But away from home, it's difficult to sort of impose your style sometimes, because you're away from home, and that's what we found that difficulty with, really sort of trying to control most games. We lost our last away game to Forest, and we completely controlled the game. We had all the ball. We were just, our final third finishing, quality just wasn't there. But we got hit by 2 goals. And when Villa were trying to chase the game away from home, it's quite difficult at times. And I think that's what we're kind of struggling with, really, is just trying to get that balance between how to approach away games. And I think that's where we've seen sort of like our away form is a little bit different to the home form.
Yeah, one of the big things behind Villa's obviously recent success is kind of their recruitment. I think it's been really impressive recently, especially over the last couple of years. Obviously, the summer you brought in Moussa Diaby, and obviously you can name plenty of other players that have really impressed recently. On the weekend, who are the kind of the other guys, aside from obviously Ollie Watkins, for Spurs to look out for?
I'd say Pau Torres is a big player for Villa.
We were linked with him
in the summer.
We were linked with him a couple of years ago.
Ball playing centre half. I think he's probably one of the best playing out from the back in the Premier League. I'd be quite bold and say he's that good. So he's integral to Villa. He's passing range is phenomenal. Getting balls into Douglas Luiz, getting balls into Diaby, Watkins. So he's quite crucial to us. Douglas Luiz is just absolutely brilliant for us at the minute. He's come on so well. His vision is great. He's a really good player for us. So I'd say those two are Villa's big players. Diaby's he's done well, but he's sort of not as consistent as what I think some people would probably want him to be. So I think he's probably still got to go up another little gear for me. But I'd be looking at to hurt Spurs the weekend, Watkins and Diaby's pace. We should be trying to drag Dyer and Davies out of position, and that's one area that I would probably highlight for us to try and exploit, really.
Yeah, I'm already worried. We're as you say, Dyer and Davies are probably going to play. We're very patched up. We've got suspensions. I know Villa without Mings and Ramsey, I think, is a top player. Anything on the back of the international break for Villa to worry about, or is it otherwise a fit squad?
No, I think there's been a couple of, I think McGinn sort of walked off on the 70th minute, so I think he just got a bit of a knock. But, like you say, Ramsey's back actually, so Ramsey should be on the bench for Spurs, and Mings is out for pretty much all season. Buendia's out all season. Moreno should be back. So we've had quite a few injuries ourselves, really, and to be where we are with Mings, Buendia, Ramsey, and Moreno all out, I think we've done pretty well, to be fair. And
just looking to Sunday, finally, Villa used to be a bit of a bogey side for Spurs back in the day, and it sort of changed, and we used to probably win home and away, and obviously last year you beat us twice. What are your thoughts to Sunday? Little prediction.
I think it's going to be a really exciting game. There's going to be goals. There's going to be a lot of goals in this game, I think. I know you're sort of patched up at the back, and you've got Basuma out as well, haven't you? So that's going to be a big blow. Maddison's not playing, so I think as Villa fans, it's an opportunity for us to try and win the game. And like you said earlier about the away form, sort of get an away result at a big club. And yeah, I think both sides have done really well. Ange has got you playing some great stuff. So as a Villa fan, I've got to back us to win, haven't I? So I'd probably go for like a 2-1 Villa win, hopefully.
Fine, all right. As I always say, Luke, good luck for Sunday, but I don't mean it. But good luck.
That's all right.
And thanks so much for joining us, and great to get your insight on Villa.
Cool. Thank you. Cheers for having me on.
Cheers, Luke. Good to talk to Luke about Villa. He's sort of mentioned a couple of injuries, but come on, not like us. So they're basically at full strength, bar Mings. And Ramsey's a really good player. Disappointed to hear that he might be back. Yeah. He's a top player, so they're going to be really, really difficult.
Yeah, I think they've just, as I mentioned, they've got such a strong squad now. There's so many kind of areas in that team where they can hurt us. Matty Cash is having a fantastic season. He's obviously, as he mentioned, someone that will get forward. Even like a player like John McGinn's just kind of flying at the moment. So just so many threats. That's why I'm very, very nervous for this one, because I just think it's going to be a tough one.
Any optimism I had going into the game it's just been sucked out of me.
One thing playing Villa always does is rekindle a memory for me. I've brought this up before, but I'm going to do it again. Games you've not been able to watch and had to sort of invent ways of finding out the score. You've not been able to find out the score for a few days. You hear stories of people who don't know a score for days because they've been trekking in a desert or something. But
do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know a lot of desert trekkers.
As a Man United fan, I know who didn't know. I think it might have been. It was either the '99 Champions League final or the 2008 final. Didn't know the score for days because he was doing some charity event somewhere. For me. 5-2 defeat at home to Villa in either the late 80s or early 90s. We were. I've said this before, but again, I'll do it again. We were on a plane and we didn't know the score. We knew we were playing at home to Villa, and said to the air stewardess, "Any chance of finding out how Spurs have got on?" And she said, "Not now, sort of over where we are, over the Atlantic. But as we get closer to the Heathrow, I'll ask the pilot, and he can speak to air traffic control and see if we can get something for you." And about 2 hours before landing, she came back and went, "Yeah, you lost 5-2 at home to Aston Villa." And another one for me was when I was away in 98 when Sheringham came back and played against us for Man United.
Oh, yeah.
96, around that time, 97. We played Man United at home in our first home game of the season. Didn't know the score. I had the pre-mobile phone days, or I didn't have it with me abroad. So I rang.
Definitely pre-mobile phone days.
Yeah, probably.
Unless you're like Alan Sugar or something like that.
So I rang home, no one answered, and I thought, well, I rang international directory inquiries.
It's definitely before mobile phone days.
The bloke answered the phone, and I said, mate, any chance you can tell me the Spurs Man United score? And he said, well, I'm not interested in football at all. But the bloke next to me, who I'll just call Steve, was at a barbecue today watching the game. He went, Steve, what was the Spurs Man United score? And I think we lost 2-0 or whatever it was. And he told me, and I said, all right, did Teddy Sheringham score? He went, did Teddy Sheringham score? No, he missed the penalty. So that was one way of finding out. So I wanted to know, what's your most inventive or memorable way of finding out a result?
Yeah, so 2013, I was on a French exchange, and I remember my mate, he got a fantastic day with his French exchange, so he went golfing. I had to go and do some sort of cake sale at a church for charity. Obviously, all for charity, and I was obviously delighted to do it. Then I got made to go and do some gardening, and I'm kind of like thinking, I know that Spurs are playing Manchester City, and I think at that time we were kind of going for Champions League with Bale in the team, and I just remember finally got back, found out that we managed to force them to let me on the computer. Didn't know how to ask in French, I was absolutely pathetic, but finally found out the score, and we won 3-1, and I was trying to explain to these French people
what it meant,
and they didn't have a clue.
Nice.
Was that the season, the home game, Tottenham City at home, where Bale scored that amazing goal?
Yes,
yeah,
I believe they were in like a maroon kit.
Yeah,
I think Bale scored.
He scored an amazing goal on the break, one of the goals.
Was that the all-white kit we wore?
Yes, and then Defoe scored as well.
So Kyle Walker pinged one across the box. Was it that game? For Bale to score?
Yeah. I think so. On the break, I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah, remember that.
He was in France, so he doesn't know.
Jake?
I've got a really good Arsenal one.
Okay, this better end well.
It ends well.
Okay,
it ends very well. I'm on the plane coming home from Spain. Well, I'm getting on the plane, and the teams come out, and it's the first day of the 21-22 season. They're away at Brentford. Teams out as I'm getting on the plane. I get off. The plane lands. I put on Sky Go on my phone, and there's the Brentford fans giving it this. Thomas Frank giving it all of that.
Doing his lap of honour.
Doing his lap of honour. First night of the season. I'm thinking, this is going to be a good season. It didn't turn out very well.
No,
this
it didn't
season.
turn out very well.
But it was a good start.
No Spurs one?
I remember when Klinsmann signed. Again, it was summer. I don't know where we were. Probably coming home or something. And hadn't seen the game, the first game, the 4-3 game with the Sheffield Wednesday. And that similar kind of thing. Get off the plane. I was about 6. My dad was like, "Oh, Klinsmann made his debut today." And I said, "Oh, really? What happened?" He goes, "Did he score?" He goes, "Yeah, Tottenham won 4-3." I was like, "Yeah."
But those days when you went abroad, you had to. We beat Nottingham Forest 2-1 on a Tuesday night, and my dad was like, "We can either wait till Thursday for the English papers to turn up, or we can ring Uncle Brian." So we rung Uncle Brian.
Ring Uncle Brian.
But the next day, we had to ring Uncle Brian.
Different world.
Yeah, different world. So we had a few. I put it out on Twitter, but only an hour before we recorded, so we didn't get too many. But this is a great one. Murray Shaw, who I believe is an Australian listener. I listened to the Spurs v Arsenal semi-final in 1991 in a public phone booth in Canberra. It cost me a fortune. It's like the old ringing up Club Call and listening for £5 a minute. And Nick 36.
Sorry, for our younger viewers, can you explain what that is?
Club Call?
Yeah.
Yeah, me.
It's a bit like Daily Hotspur, but not free. So you used to ring up and they'd have like loads of news, but
it was like pre-recorded.
Yeah, but they tease you with like Spurs look at Brazilian ace, and then you'd ring up and they just like to say that Spurs have looked at, I don't know, Romario, but they're not going to be able to sign him, and that would cost you £12.
And it's voiced by like,
with journos like you.
Oh,
I did some work experience at Club Call once.
Wow.
And it was simply like just make up stories. I just made up a lead story. Bizarre thing. Nick 365555 on Twitter. I bumped into Darren Anston at Stansted Airport, having just got off a flight. Went for his autograph. He was grumpy. Asked him what the score was. He said, "We've just lost 7-1 to Newcastle."
you didn't have to beep out the.
Oh, he did swear, but I'm not going to do it. I remember that Newcastle game. Watched it on the old Jumbotron. You used to be able to go to Spurs and watch away games. They'd beam it back, and I remember walking out of that game with my mate Adam at sort of 5-0. By the time we got to the car, it was 7. Good times.
Not good times.
No, so that's it. Sunday then. Come on, before we go.
Don't go Saturday.
No, don't go Saturday. Quick prediction, please. This is the first time you might do it.
What say that? I think. I have a feeling it could be 2-1 to Villa.
I'm going to go 2, or I'm not going to predict a defeat. I think we're right. There's going to be lots of goals in this game. So
I wanted to say 2, but I thought Johnny would laugh in my face because I always predict us.
I'm not
going
to laugh when it is new.
Yeah, I know.
2-2, 2-1 Villa. From the moment the Wolves game finished, I've been like, we're just not going to beat Villa. And listening to Luke and talking about Villa, I just feel they've got the weapons to beat us, pace in behind, pace at the back, very good midfield and Douglas Luiz. I'm really worried we're going to lose 2-0.
The one thing I think that we have, though, and I saw this in the Chelsea game a bit, less so in Wolves, but Chelsea, is that it seems like everyone is playing for each other and the manager, and they're all very, very close-knit and together. And as I said, he's had a couple of weeks to formulate a plan in his own mind. And he is very tactically astute, and he's been in the game a long time. So I'm thinking to myself, I can't see like Emery outdoing him. No. It's just a case of whether the players that are there are good enough to play in the way that he wants them to play.
Yeah, well, Kulusevski said with his celebration, I think he did that, and it was saying, it was just focusing on ourselves, just helping our teammates. So there is, a fantastic atmosphere in the camp at the moment. So maybe that's a real positive.
And the fans will get behind them because everyone's still very much happy, and we're all in this together.
I just want to say as well, with the Doji, I actually think that's a massive boost for us. I know obviously he's defensively maybe been a bit shaky with a couple of yellow cards, but for a left back to be as important as he is, I think he's going to be incredible.
He didn't play well against Chelsea even before, but I think he wasn't fit.
No,
so it's good that he's had these 2 weeks.
Yeah, but I just think he is that good as a player and so important for us. Obviously, seen the way that we've had the fullbacks kind of playing so far this season. They've been really important for us. So that's going to be a big boost going forward, I think, having a Doji in the team. So yeah, really happy about that one.
Hey, 2-2 then.
Okay. Let's hope we're all wrong and we win. Jake, thanks as always. Jamie, great debut, fitted in seamlessly like an Ange signing. Done really well, like Udogie and Van der Veen and whoever else. So, Jamie, thanks for joining us. And where can people follow you on social media?
Yeah, so at the moment, just kind of on Twitter at the moment, we're at Daily Hotspur. So, hopefully we'll be in some positivity over the next couple of weeks.
Good. A really great site on Twitter, that. All your Spurs news and up-to-date stories and good sources. So, Jamie, thanks for joining us. Jake, see you soon.
See you next week.
We will be back next week. And up the Spurs.